I'm the best ever. I'm the most brutal and vicious and most ruthless champion there's ever been. There's no one can stop me. Lynx is a conqueror. No, I'm Alexander. He's no Alexander. I'm the best ever. There's never been anybody as ruthless. I'm Sonny Liston. I'm Jack Dempsey. There's no one like me. I'm from their cloth. There's no one that can match me. My style is impetuous. My defense is impregnable. And I'm just ferocious. I want your heart. I want to eat his children. Praise be to Allah.
Everyone has an answer for what broke Mike Tyson. They point at Buster Douglas on the canvas in Tokyo.
Shot again. He's down. He comes to the uppercut. Come on, Robert. Buster strikes that back. Hey, look at this. Look at Buster coming back. Did he buckle the legs of Mike? I don't know. We got him again. Oh, nice uppercut by Buster Douglas. Look at this.
They point at the courtroom in Indianapolis. They point at the ear on the ring floor in Las Vegas. Highlight real moments, easy answers, dramatic footage, the kind of thing you can clip and post and watch and say, there, that's where the monster fell apart. They're all wrong. Mike Tyson was broken on November the 4th, 1985, in a hospital bed at Mount Sinai in Manhattan, when a 77-year-old man with thick glasses and a revolutionary mind took his last breath.
I do. To me, he's my boy. He's with me. I often say to him, you know, I owe you a lot, and he doesn't know what I mean, but I'm going to tell him now what I mean. If he weren't here, I probably wouldn't be alive today. The fact that he is here and doing what he's doing, and doing as well as he's doing, and improving as he has, gives me the motivation and interest to stay alive. Because I believe that a person dies when they no longer wants to live.
And left behind an 18-year-old kid who had nobody, nothing, no father, no mother, no compass, just fists and fury and a world that was about to eat him alive. This is Welcome to Boxing, and this is the story nobody tells properly. The root of every breakdown, the night that everything ended before it began. To understand what died that November night, you have to understand what Cus D'Amato actually was. People call him a trainer. That word is an insult to the truth.
Right? And remember, it's always good to throw the punch where you could hit him and he can't hit you. That's what the science of boxing is all about.
Trainers teach combinations. Trainers hold mitts. Trainers tell you to keep your hands up. Cus D'Amato did something nobody in boxing had ever done before him. He built a human being from pieces, from rubble, from a broken, angry, untouchable kid that society had already buried at age 13. Mike Tyson, by age 13, had been arrested 38 times. 38. He was living in a juvenile detention center in upstate New York. His mother was gone. His neighborhood had chewed him up and spat him out. The world had written exactly 2 words on that kid's future. Too late. And then a juvenile counselor named Bobby Stewart noticed something dangerous in Tyson's fists and introduced him to an old man in the Catskills who had been waiting his whole life for a fighter like this. A man named Constantine D'Amato. Cus. Cus looked at this terrifying, illiterate, rage-filled teenager and saw something nobody else on earth could see. Not just a heavyweight champion, a son. He took Tyson into his home in Catskill, New York, fed him at his table, made him part of the family.
Well, see, what happened was I asked him to deduct that from the bill. Yeah, right. Whatever it was.
Legally adopted him after Tyson's mother died in 1982, when Mike was just 16 years old. Think about that. A 16-year-old who had lost everything again found himself in a farmhouse in upstate New York with an old man who looked him in the eyes and said, "You are going to be the heavyweight champion of the world someday, and I will be there."
He said, "You do what I tell you to do, and if it doesn't work, then you can leave." So I said, "Okay, bet." So I did everything he told me to do, and I won. And then one day he used to just say, "Listen, you have the chance to change your life, your family's life. You could be something very special. Don't you want to be champion? You could be champion of the world." And I didn't pay no attention to it. He said, "Really? You could be champion of the world. You could devastate the world. No man could take what you do. You just got to believe it." And I started believing in this old man. I stopped being a little thief. I used to go back to New York and rob people and then come back upstate and hide out. Then I stopped doing all that. I changed my whole life.
But Cus didn't just give Tyson a home. He installed an operating system into his brain. He used philosophy, psychology. He made Tyson read, made him understand the history of boxing, made him study champions on film for hours, not just to copy their technique, but to understand their mindset. how they walked, how they carried themselves, how they turned fear into a weapon instead of a prison. Cus had a philosophy about fear that was decades ahead of every sports psychologist alive. He said, "The hero and the coward both feel the same thing, but the hero uses his fear, projects it onto his opponent while the coward runs. It is the same feeling, fear. But it is what you do with it that matters."
The fighter who controls his fear can now function in a manner far over and beyond anything he was capable of before. Fear is your friend, and if we don't panic, we maintain a discipline and a control over them, we can use them. And they not only will help us survive the particular incident, but continued success will give us a confidence that's so strong and a foundation so powerful that in time you can get to overcome almost anything.
He repeated those words to Tyson so many times they stopped being words and became bone, became reflex, became the reason that when Mike Tyson walked into an arena, grown men who had beaten other grown men into unconsciousness felt something inside them crack before the first bell even rang. That wasn't genetics, that wasn't talent. That was Cus D'Amato, installing a weapon into a human being one conversation at a time. Tyson turned professional on March 6, 1985. He knocked out Hector Mercedes in round 1. He kept going, win after win, knockout after knockout. At 18 years old, he was the most terrifying thing professional boxing had ever seen. He was undefeated. He was unstoppable. He was still sleeping under Cus's roof, still getting corrections in his ear between rounds, still calling that old man every night, still grounded by the one human being who told him the truth when nobody else would. And then November the 4th, 1985 arrived. Pneumonia. Mount Sinai Hospital. Cus D'Amato died at 77 years old.
Within 10 hours, Cus will be dead. And we have to go to the bank and deposit some money. It was some money that I had made for my fight, a few $100,000, and we have to deposit some money. So we went to the bank, and I was at the bank depositing money, and I was just crying, just crying out, just crying. And the lady at the bank was, I was hysterical. The lady at the bank had asked, "What is wrong? Is everything all right?" And Jim Jacobs had explained that we had lost a good friend of ours had died, or will be dying shortly, and he's handling it very rough. And I was just very hysterical. And Jim Jacobs was cool as ice, nothing fazed him. But to me, it was like I lost my whole life. I didn't know where to go from there.
And Mike Tyson, 18 years old, undefeated, already terrifying the entire heavyweight division, carried the casket at the funeral, alongside Floyd Patterson, alongside Jose Torres, 2 champions Cus had already built, carrying the man who built all of them into the ground. 9 days later. 9 days after burying the only father he ever had. Mike Tyson was back in the ring. He knocked out Eddie Richardson in less than 2 rounds. He put on the black trunks. He kept winning. The record kept growing. 13 months after Cus died, on November 22nd, 1986, Tyson destroyed Trevor Berbick in 2 rounds and became the youngest heavyweight champion in history. The world went insane. The celebration was deafening. And Tyson stood in that ring with the belt that Cus had promised him. And Cus was nowhere. Not in the corner, not on the phone, not in the building, not anywhere. Just a belt, just a crowd, just noise. And a kid who had been carrying grief so heavy it should have crushed him, but who channeled it into fists instead of tears, because that's what the machine Cus built did. It turned pain into power. But machines without maintenance don't run forever. And the man who maintained that machine was in the ground.
It's a terrific time for me in my life. I was just a young boy at 19, and I didn't have the chance to let Cus see the prospects of me growing as a heavyweight champion. A boy comes to me with a spark of interest. I feed that spark and it becomes a flame. I feed the flame and it becomes a fire. I feed the fire and it becomes a roaring blaze.
Here is the part that makes this story devastating. Kevin Rooney, Cus's protege, the man who had absorbed the peekaboo system from the inside out, kept training Tyson after the death, kept the system alive, kept the head movement working, kept the angles sharp. For 3 years, Rooney was the ghost of coast walking, and during those 3 years, Tyson was still the most dominant heavyweight on the planet. Unification titles, record knockouts, Michael Spinks erased in 91 seconds, the world at his feet. Then Don King entered the picture. Don King, who had already eaten Ali, who had already devoured Foreman, looked at this unguarded, grieving, fatherless young man with the heavyweight championship of the world and saw a blank check. He systematically dismantled every remaining piece of protection around Tyson, convinced him to fire Bill Caton, the experienced manager who handled his money. And this is the moment the real collapse began. Kevin Rooney was gone.
If you think about Mike Tyson, what is the best moment you have had with him?
Well, the best moment was when he won the Trevor Berbick fight in Las Vegas.
Fired. In late 1988. The moment Rooney walked out the door, the peekaboo started dying. The head movement disappeared. The angles vanished.
I have some news to tell you. It's either good or bad. It depends on you. I took the money that both of our person, I bet that you knock him out in the first round. And I didn't know if he was fooling or not because I know he liked to gamble. And I'm saying, did he really do this? And when the fight was over, I said, where's the $45 million? He said, I was only kidding.
Tyson began walking straight into punches in ways he never had before. Critics noticed, trainers noticed, fans noticed, but nobody could say why out loud. The why was simple. The only man left who truly understood what Cus had built was gone. What followed is history written in blood and headlines. Robin Givens destroyed him on national television while he sat beside her and said nothing.
And my mom and I are in the lobby of a hotel, and I said, what are we doing?
What was happening?
He was out of control.
Chasing after you in the lobby?
Yeah, Michael is a manic depressive. He is. I mean, that's just a fact. And when he's in a manic state, he doesn't sleep. He has enormous amounts of energy. So your sleeping agitates him. He gets you up. There's an argument. I mean, of course you want to sleep. I can't imagine that anyone could live with Mike Tyson and not recognize that there was a problem.
He fired the people who told him the truth and surrounded himself with people who told him what he wanted to hear. He stopped training with the obsession Cus demanded. February 1990, Buster Douglas, a 42-1 underdog, 10 rounds, and for the first time in Tyson's career, the floor came up to meet him in a place he had never been before. The rape conviction, 3 years in prison, the ear bite, the Lennox Lewis destruction, the slow, public, excruciating dismantling of everything Cus had built. And Tyson himself told you the answer. He said it plainly, without metaphor, without poetry, just brutal, honest truth. He said, without Cus, I'm nothing. Not without the belt, not without the money, not without the team or the trainer or the manager. Without Cus. Because Cus wasn't just a trainer, he was the operating system. And when he died on November 4th, 1985, the countdown began. Everyone was just too busy watching the knockouts to hear it ticking. The most powerful thing Cus D'Amato ever did was not the peekaboo style. It was not the psychology of fear. It was not producing 3 separate world champions from the same Catskill gymnasium. The most powerful thing Cus D'Amato ever did was make one broken, dangerous, abandoned kid believe he was loved, believe he had value, believe the world had a place for him beyond a prison cell or a street corner in Brownsville. And when that man died, that belief died with him. Everything else, every scandal, every loss, every headline, was just the world catching up to a truth that was already written the moment that old man closed his eyes in a Manhattan hospital bed. Mike Tyson won the heavyweight championship of the world. He became the most feared human being on the planet. He shattered records that will stand for generations. And he never truly recovered from November the 4th, 1985, the night his world ended before the world even knew his name. Now I want to hear from you. Could any trainer, any manager, any team have replaced what Cus D'Amato was to Mike Tyson? Or was it always going to end this way the moment that farmhouse in the Catskills went quiet? Drop your answer below. I read every single one. And if this story hit you somewhere deep, we need you. Welcome to Boxing is a small channel built on real stories, the uncomfortable truths, the moments that actually mattered. Not the highlight reels, not the easy answers, the real ones. Hit subscribe. It costs you nothing and means everything to us. Share this with someone who thinks they know the Mike Tyson story. Like this video if it showed you something new. Turn on notifications so you never miss what we drop next. End Screen is live right now. Click to see how Evander Holyfield engineered the most calculated destruction of Tyson's myth. Click to see the night the Buster Douglas fight was already lost, before it began. Both videos will change how you see the greatest heavyweight of all time.
And it becomes a
Thank you for watching.
blaze.
This is Welcome to Boxing. I will see you in the next one.